This is the first of a series of Back to Basics episodes. These episodes are aimed at folks that want to get started cleaning up old tools. The only power tool I'll use in these episodes is the very affordable Wen 2307 rotary tool. I spotted this in a dollar bin and I brought it home because I thought it was unique. It's marked Great Neck. Instead of the handle being round, it's kind of squashed down this way. I think that's a red color. I wonder how that would look polished up. It's not in bad shape. That could be a fun little project, huh? The shaft seemed straight, but the tip had a slight bend in it. To straighten a tip like this, you're going to need something flat and hard. A tiny anvil, a section of railroad track, or the anvil section on your vise would all work. Even the face of a big hammer will work. I'm going to use this piece of scrap steel flat. It looked like the tip was sharpened to use as a pry bar or a chisel. I've got a coarse 80 grit sanding drum. I got my speed at about, 2.5, 3. I'm trying to contact the center of the drum. I like to flip the tip as I grind it to help average out any misalignment. Now it looks more like a screwdriver tip. Now I've got a 240 grit drum. I have the speed set at about 3, maybe a little bit more. I took a permanent marker and I colored in the flat part. That way I can see right away if I'm not aligned correctly so that my drum is square to that flat face. I'm going to work on this edge the same way. Now I've got the 320 grit drum, and I colored all the faces in black. Coloring these also helps you keep track of what you've worked on and what you've not. Alright, this is the tip down to 400 grit. The screwdriver shaft is in pretty good shape. There are some nicks up in this area, right here and here. So I think I'll use those sanding drums to smooth those out. I've got the 240 grit drum back in. Now I'm running just over 3 on the speed. Seems to be a nice spot for these drums. Here's the curved areas down to 400 grit. I did the best I could with that gouge right there. Next, I'm going to work on where the shaft goes into the handle. I'm going to use a 120 grit bristle wheel. I still have it set on that like 3.5 or 3.25. We'll see how it does. I went over it again with the 400 grit bristle wheel. I managed to stay pretty clear of the plastic. I did put a couple marks in it. Hopefully those will sand out. Now I'm going to go over all the metal with the coarse scrubby wheel. Try to brighten the shaft up here and blend out any of the sanding lines from the sanding drums. I'm using this block of wood to give my hand a little more clearance so it's more comfortable to work. I still got that on that 3 1/4 setting. Let's see how it is. I experimented with going this way with that scrubby wheel. Not sure if I like it or not. I'm going to try it again with the medium grit red scrubby wheel, going that same way. See what I think. This is after that red scrubby wheel. I think it looks pretty good. It's got like a brush finish to it. I think I might go over it with one of those gray abrasive pads. See what that does. This is what I was talking about. It's one of these super fine gray abrasive pads. I think that gray pad did the trick. That's looking good now. Alright, on to the plastic handle. I figured I'd start by chipping off this white paint. Seems like it's almost should be a rule that every old screwdriver you're going to have white paint on the handle. After washing, more paint appeared in the checkering. I used a needle, a toothbrush, and a brass wire brush to clean up all this checkering. Now I want to work on some of this heavy damage, like up here. Here's the handle after sanding with the 320 grit. I tried to get rid of the seam on both sides. Now I'm going to go over the handle with some grade 0 fine steel wool. What do you think? You think I got my money's worth out of that piece of steel wool? Now I'm going to go over the handle again with 4-0 superfine steel wool. Here's the handle after the superfine steel wool. I like these polishing wheels made up of many layers of cloth. I use one on metal and keep a separate one for polishing plastic. Chuck and I really like Flitz polish. It works great on all metals and plastic. When polishing plastic with a rotary tool, it's important to use a light touch and keep moving to avoid burning the plastic. I had to go over the checkering again with the needle and toothbrush to remove the excess polish. I applied a coat of wax to the metal and plastic. Okay, let me take you back to what this great neck screwdriver looked like when I found it on the dollar table. And here it is now. I think it turned out pretty good considering I used only the Wen 2307 rotary tool and some very basic hand tools. Here's a couple Great Neck ads from the late 1940s when the G-Series screwdriver was first introduced. I like their giraffe mascot. Great Neck started out making hacksaw blades in 1919 and they're still in business today. Hunting for old tools at yard sales and flea markets, bringing them home and cleaning them up is a fun hobby. You can often find good quality vintage tools for cheap, and this Back to Basics episode hopefully shows how you can achieve really good results cleaning them up with very simple tools. I've included Amazon links in the description for everything I used on this project. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Here's links to the flea market haul where I found the Great Neck screwdriver, and my product review of the Wen 2307 rotary tool.